Florida Governor Ron Desantis has floated a law that will allow parents and I suppose students or ex-students to sue anyone who is teaching critical race theory in the school. So if you're keeping count, this is now the third major state that is offering a citizens-based litigation program for something that you don't like. So in California, now Gavin Newsom has decided you can sue people regarding gun ownership. In Texas, the law before the Supreme Court currently says that you can sue people for abortions that had nothing to do with you, right? And now in Florida, you'll be able to sue school districts and also companies for teaching things that you don't like. So when Americans complain that we have too litigious of a society, well, look to your leaders because this is what they're doing. Now, obviously, we can have the discussion about whether critical race theory should be in a school system or not. I'm going to put that aside for now because I don't want to have that discussion today. What I do want to point out, though, is that this will increase legal costs for schools, and schools are not the cash cow system that you maybe think they are. You already know teachers are underpaid. Yes, teacher? They'll be suing the school district specifically, which, school district is they're dividing pennies right now to even get resources to the classrooms. So,
like we showed here on the show the other day, those teachers in South Dakota were having to clamor for dollar bills at that on the ice skating rink as part of that little dog and pony show they were doing. So they don't have any money. But here's what I don't get is that, first of all, it's already outlawed in Florida. Like teaching critical race theory in public schools is already banned in public schools in Florida. But Ron DeSantis is taking it one step further. Of course, he's positioning himself for 2024. He wants to run for president. He wants to be like the anti-woke candidate. That's fine. DeSantis, though, says that its core lessons are still being taught in schools there. And he said, quote, "In Florida, we're taking a stand against the state-sanctioned racism that is critical race theory. We won't allow Florida tax dollars to be spent teaching kids to hate our country or to hate each other. We also have a responsibility to ensure that parents have the means to vindicate their rights when it comes to enforcing state standards."
But then it will be Florida tax dollars that has to defend these lawsuits, right? So if a school wants to stand up for itself, it will have to use tax dollars for legal defense. And if they have to pay anything out to that person, they will also use tax dollars. So I don't follow.
Yeah, and the bill allows parents to collect any attorney's fees, including a similar provision as the Texas bill. Plaintiffs there can also collect attorney's fees in Texas. I don't know.
I understand that we litigate our values in this country, right? And sometimes that's necessary. But you have to, think about litigating just to solve something, right? As the only means to solve something that will hurt. This will hurt other children, right? There's no I want to take there's no other solution other than you hurt other kids. You hurt other teachers. It will lower their pay.
These kids shouldn't be involved in our adult politics anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they are
being torn.
Recipient. Yeah, exactly.
They're in the middle, and it's like they're watching two parents who are about to get a divorce fighting back and forth, Yeah. And who ends up suffering the most in those situations? It's the kids, always.
Right. Refer back to the story we just did. So now less hands-on learning for you. Learn algebra from a book, kid.
What I don't understand is, let's just take a 30,000-foot view of this, though, is that I don't think any of these people even know what they're arguing for. Like we've seen, I think politicians don't even know what they're upset about. Like specifically, what are you upset about when it comes to critical race theory? Like if you're talking about the 1970s academic papers that started it, okay, that's one thing. But if you're talking about a teacher talking about the injustices of slavery in the United States, and maybe here's an example. We learned that in Georgia, there's actually slavery happening right now. Did you see that story last week?
No.
That there are literally people being kept against their will and no pay in the state of Georgia, in the United States of America. Hey, we could talk about China taking religious Uyghurs and putting them in concentration camps and sterilizing them. right? So imagine a teacher in school down and anywhere in the United States is teaching children about the horrors of slavery and says, in fact, right now in the United States, there is modern day slavery happening today. And in China, this is what's happening. Well, is that bad? Can we not teach that under this law? Can we not talk about the injustices of certain people owning other people? That would be troubling to me. Like if you're trying to pretend that none of these bad things ever happened.
Or is it that we can't discuss slavery at all anymore because there are certain narratives that we no longer believe? For instance, Lincoln freed the slaves, right? Lincoln famously said that he would keep the unions together if it meant abolishing slavery, or he would keep slavery if it meant keeping the union together, right? Abolishing slavery was not his number one goal.
Right.
His number one goal was keeping the United States together. And so we have to then... So, no more celebrating Abraham Lincoln as the person who abolished slavery and making Lincoln hats and saying and so
or
taking a look at that actual history. I'm not saying Abraham Lincoln was not a good guy. He had his merits, sure, but let's not say that.
Make him a deity.
Yes, right.
That's what we do with our leaders. And so we can't, people got so uncomfortable when Michelle Obama talked about she's living in the White House, a house that was built by slaves.
Yes.
And I remember all these people like, oh, you just better be thankful that you're living in this house. Who cares who built it? She couldn't talk about something uncomfortable as the White House being built by slaves.
Yes.
And it was.
Yeah.
So we just have to pretend that didn't happen. Like we can't have a discussion about these honest things.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it's like a reframing of there was slavery and then white people saved, the slaves and that's how it ended is a very uncomfortable way to tell that story, if not phallus, right? And so, or fatuous. And I didn't want to talk about the merits.
I find it kind of ironic too that a lot of people don't realize it was the Democrats that fought to keep slavery and the Republicans that
yes, it was.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that it's kind of shifted now, and the Democratic Party is the party that supposedly is
cares about racial injustice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you think about Robert Byrd, right? Robert Byrd in West Virginia. I mean, and you think about, Robert Byrd was, I think, if I'm not mistaken precisely, and I could be wrong a little bit here, I hope I'm not, but he was a member of the Ku Klux Klan at one point, or he was, I might be shooting myself in the foot. Somebody fact check me on that, but I believe Robert Byrd has ties early on to that movement in West Virginia. So too did, what's his name? Who was the oldest living? Ben
Affleck.
No, the oldest senator ever, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Oh, from West Virginia? No, not him.
I can't think of it. Anyway, there's people to try to hide that or forget about it. We also like to pretend that George Washington is a deity. Paintings of him have halos above his head, and yet he owned slavery. He owned people.
Yes,
he had slaves.
Yes.
So. Anyway.
I guess it's not teaching those things as an asterisk, but again, let's sort of take the merits of critical race theory and put it aside for today, and just talk about whether or not litigating against already broke school systems is the right way to solve this problem. I'll leave that for you. And now I will move on to what's trending, unless you have anything else. Are you?
I just want to try. Strom Thurmond. Thank you.
Okay.
Robert Byrd, Ku Klux Klan. I don't even know how to spell it. I should just look at my membership card.
Okay. I was joking.
Stop.
Stupid.
Come on.
Wasn't it Ben Affleck that did one of those celebrity hero things and it found out that his ancestors
I don't
were...
even know how to how do you type Ku Klux? I literally don't even know how to type.
I think it's
that
Ku
looks...
Klux. Ku
Klux
Klan.
Okay. Sorry. All K's. Okay.
Not Cuckoo Clan.
Cuckoo Clan? Oh, all right. I can't figure this out.
Don't Google that anymore. I'm afraid of what happens when that's in your search history.
Well, we're demonetized today, I guess.
Yes, he started his life as an exalted cyclops in the Ku Klux Klan. Yes. Okay.
Can you clear your cookies after that? You don't know what are we going to get advertised based on that?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine? I'll be on Facebook later today, and I'm like, they're like, would you like to join this white supremacist group? Would you like, hey, the Proud Boys are advertising. Would you like to join? My God.
Okay. No, thank you to all of that.